welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new stamp set, Cheesy Christmas, and its coordinating dies. We also have awesome coordinating coloring stencils for this stamp set to help you easily color in these adorable little images. Then we're going to be introducing the Cheesy Christmas add-on stamp set and its coordinating dies, and of course we're going to show its coordinating coloring stencils too. These two sets go so great together, so let's go ahead and check them out. First up, we're going to take a look at the Cheesy Christmas stamp set, which has the most adorable little mouse, and this little dancing mouse with the Santa hat must be my favorite. I love this little guy here who's wearing the little reindeer antlers, and then this little mouse is holding the piece of cheese as a gift, which is adorable. And then I love this little guy with the sweater. He's saying, "Yay, it's Christmas." It's just so cute. Then, of course, they have their awesome tree made out of cheese, which is just so sweet. And then all of these cute little presents that you can put around the tree. We have that little bag, a little piece of cheese wrapped in a bow, and then that little circular present as well. We have a little radio to be playing music for them to dance to, and of course, little music notes that you can stamp around to help set the scene. Then this set has the cutest tiny little phrases. It says, "Gouda tidings to you. 'Tis the season to be cheesy. May your holidays brie merry," which is my favorite one. We have fa la 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 la. And then we also have these cute little tiny phrases that say twist or dance that you can stamp around the little dancing mouse. And then we have these awesome sentiments. So we have rockin' around the Christmas cheese, and I love how they're curved so that it almost looks like it's the words being sung floating through the air. We have we Swiss you a Merry Christmas and a very nice New Year. And then we have these fun little mix and match sentiments. So we have a, and then we have either mice, or you could stamp merry, and then we have the phrase Christmas. So you could say have a mice Christmas or have a Merry Christmas, depending on what you would like for your card. And of course, we have a cute little exclamation point that you can stamp at the end of those phrases. Now it's time to add some color to these adorable images, and I'm going to be using my Copic markers here, but we're going to show you the coloring stencils in just a little bit. And for these little mice, I am going to be coloring them in with some warm gray markers. I have a tendency to do the mice in brown, and I am going to do one of the mice in brown in just a little bit, but there's something about the warm gray mice that I think ends up looking really cute on these holiday cards. You can see I'm adding my darkest marker down, blending it out with the medium, and then going out into the light. And you can see I'm using 4 markers. I normally only use 3 on images, but I really wanted it to be nice and light towards their faces and to have a really great little shadow on them. I think it looks really, really cool. So there you can see I'm bringing in that W1, and then now I'm going to bring in the very lightest marker to just fill in the rest of the mouse. Now I'm going to use the same technique, but in this case I'm going to be using brown. So I have my dark, my medium, my light, and then I'm going to go to a very, very light marker so that he has that nice little highlight around his face, which is so cute. Then we're going to go ahead and give them cute little pink bellies, which just looks absolutely adorable. And these guys, oh my gosh, they're just so sweet. And of course, we're going to give them little pink ears and then little rosy cheeks. And there's something about the little rosy cheeks that just adds to that cute factor for these little mice. Next, I decided to add my red to all of the places where I wanted to have red, which was on the headband and on the Santa hats, and of course on this little mouse's sweater. I love that you can decorate these guys in so many different colors depending on what the color scheme is for your card, but I wanted to have some nice, bright, bold red. Then for the white areas of the hat, I'm just adding a really light gray marker on those just so that there's a little extra something on them, and then some brown for the antlers. Next, we're going to be coloring all of this cute cheese. And so you can see here, I've kind of brought in a little bit of a darker marker there to give it a little bit more of a highlight. And then for the holes of the cheese, I'm just going to add that darker marker, that Y26, and just kind of blend them out. And the cheese is just so much fun. I also like adding little dots onto the cheese for some extra texture. So now we're going to work on this cheese Christmas tree, which is just adorable. And you'll see we're having our darker marker, our lighter marker, and then we're going to work our way out to the edges of the tree. Now, one of the things that I love about these little mice is that, of course, they can be rocking around the Christmas cheese, which is so adorable, but you can also use them without the cheese Christmas tree. So you could just use them interacting with each other, or in just a little bit, I'm going to bring in a traditional Christmas tree on one of my cards. I'm going to use the Build a Christmas Tree die, or you could use a Christmas tree stamp, and they could be dancing around a traditional Christmas tree, or they could dance around the Christmas cheese. So there's so many cute different ways to play around with this stamp set, but I love the idea that these little mice wanted to make a Christmas tree, and what would mice make a Christmas tree out of? Of course, they would make it out of their cheese, which I think is just adorable. I went ahead and colored in those two cheese presents, and now I'm just gonna add some bright red bows, which I think looks so nice. For this little radio, I'm gonna bring in some greens to kind of have that traditional red and green color scheme. And so we're just gonna shade the little radio. I love the radio. It's such a cute touch, especially for that little dancing mouse. And then I'm using that same green on to that little gift package there, just so that everything coordinates nicely. And then I'm gonna make that kind of a craft gift bag, that traditional kind of craft color. And so I'm just gonna color in that cute little bag. And oh my gosh, these are just looking so adorable. Now, next up, we're gonna look at the Cheesy Christmas add-on, which has this cute little cheese puffs present, and then an extra little music note that you can stamp in your scenes, and then some really great phrases. So it says, "Have yourself a cheesy little Christmas." And then, of course, there's some fun little tiny phrases too. And so we have "Oh, what joy," which I just love. We have "floss" for there to be another type of dance that our cute little mouse is doing. We have "Have a mice Christmas." I just love these little tiny phrases. And then "Enjoy the festivities," which just makes me laugh. We also have "'Tis the cheesin'." So there's so many cute extra phrases that you can mix and match for your awesome scenes. And so now we're going to add some color to this cute little cheese puffs bag. So I'm going to use the same colors of yellow that I use for my cheese. I'm going to use red for the bow, and then I'm going to bring in the browns to be kind of like a craft box, just like we did the craft bag. That way these will really mix and match nicely on a card. And I love that these sentiments are such a fun add-on to the Cheesy Christmas stamp set, and it's so fun to have another music note and another little gift to put underneath that little Christmas tree. Now, these are the dies for Cheesy Christmas, which you can break apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. We're going to line them up with our stamped images, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, then we can run it through the die cut machine and we'll have perfectly cut out images every time. And here are all of the images from the set, and they are just so cute and sweet, and you can mix and match them to create adorable little scenes. So here's a little Christmas cheese there. We can have these little guys dancing around with all the music notes. That guy can hold on to the present. You can also have the mice interacting without the cheese tree and just have them either dancing around or also giving each other little gifts, which is super cute. And here you can see my son is helping demonstrate there. He's helping me make these cute little scenes, which is just adorable. And so you can see you can bring back the cheese tree and just mix and match everything, layer the presents under the tree, which is so super sweet. So I love that there's so many fun ways to mix and match these images, and I love those die cut music notes too. Now, next up, we have the coordinating dies for the Cheesy Christmas add-on, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. And of course, we're going to line these up with our images, hold it in place with some low-tack tape. We'll run it through the die cut machine, and we'll have perfectly cut out images every time. And then these cute little images here, we have the individual music note and the cheese puffs, are a really great addition to the Christmas scenes that we can create. You can add the little music note around the tree and add the cheese puffs under the tree as well, which I think looks so cute and is a perfect gift for this cute mouse Christmas. So this is just adorable, and I just love mixing and matching these images. And earlier we used our markers to color in these images, but it's really, really fun to do stenciling too. And so these are the coordinating coloring stencils, and you can see there are 3 of them. They're labeled up at the top, and they're a 4 by 6 inch size so that they line up perfectly with your stamp set so that they're really easy to store with the stamp set. They have beautiful etch guidelines which help you line them up with your images. And so here I've gone ahead and lined it up with my cheese tree, and I'm just going to be adding some color. This is some lemonade ink with a brush right on to this beautiful tree. You can lift up the stencil and just shift it over and start to add some of the details. So here we have the holes for the tree, so I'm going to add a little bit of a darker yellow onto those to fill those in, and then I can continue to move on down my stencil. And every single image in this stamp set has a stencil to it, so you're able to stencil in all of these cute images, and it just looks so gorgeous when it's stenciled in. So now we're going to add the star and then the base of the tree. I'm adding some of the light yellow and then a little bit of the dark yellow. And then we're going to use those same yellows to color in this little present. And you'll see that the stencil lines right up over. It's got the piece that's protecting the cute little bow there. And then we can shift down and work on the bow. So we'll line up the bow piece just like that. And then for this, I'm just going to use some lobster ink, which is a nice bright red, and we'll layer that right over top. Then we can use the same red for the little Santa hat on the mouse. And you can see once again, those etch guidelines are there, which make it really, really easy to ink up the different parts of the mouse. Now we're going to work on the mouse's body. I like to use pizza crust ink, which is like the perfect brown for these mice. It just looks so cute. And you'll see that I'm adding a little more ink onto the left side and letting it go lighter to the right side so that it has a nice shading to it. For the little belly, I'm just going to add a teeny bit of light gray. And then for the ears and the nose, I'm going to use some ballet slippers ink, which is a nice pink. For the belly, I used manatee ink. And you'll see there that this little guy is all done, and these images look absolutely gorgeous. It's so quick and easy to use the stencils, and I love using them to be able to create easy to reproduce cards as well. So if you're making a ton of cards for Christmas, this is a great way to add color to your images. Now, of course, the add-on has a stencil as well, and so you can go ahead and line that up with your little cheese puffs box. We're going to do the outside corners, and then we're going to have the kind of back of the bag. We're using pizza crust ink for that, and then we've got our lemonade ink for the cheese puffs part, and then the lobster ink for the top. And you can see how gorgeous that looks stenciled in. It's so quick and easy and looks absolutely amazing. So now it's time to start creating a card with these super cute images. And here I have some paper that's the fruit salad paper, which is a springy paper, but I love that we can bring it into the holidays. And we're going to die cut this with the largest of the outside in stitched rectangles. We're also going to die cut some white cardstock with that same stitch rectangle die. Then we're going to be bringing in our cheesy Christmas stamp set and those images that we stamped and colored and die cut earlier. And we're going to be creating a super cute scene on this. And that bright green looks so amazing with that cheese Christmas tree. Then for our sentiment, we're going to be taking out a fancy folded banner. I love these banners. They are so much fun, and it has a curved style. And what's really great is the sentiment that we're going to use is also curved. So it's going to match beautifully onto the curve of this fancy folded banner, and it's going to say, "We Swiss you a Merry Christmas." The fancy folded banner has some score lines that the die creates for you. We're going to fold back against one fold and then towards us against the other fold to create a Z shape. So you'll fold back against the fold closest to the inside and then forward against the fold that's towards the outside. And that creates that little Z shape that gives you the folded banner look. Then I'm going to take some little glue dots here and I'm just going to put them in between to just hold everything down because I want to make sure that it's nice and flat on my card. So we're going to go ahead and add some glue dots in between and also in the back too. And that's going to help it hold its fancy folded shape, which I think is so gorgeous and really pretty for the holidays. Now we're going to work on creating a ground, and how we're going to do this is we're going to trim about 7/8 of an inch off the bottom of this rectangle piece that's green, and we're going to be layering that over top of the white piece. And right now, I was inspired by Elena Create a Card. Now she made a landscape card, and I'm making a portrait version, but I just thought this was so beautiful how she did this. So we're going to layer it over top, and because they both are cut with the same stitch rectangle, the stitching will go all of the way around, but I really like the pop of white being the ground on this card. Now, I wanted to add a little smiley face to the star of the tree, so I'm taking out the All the Smile stamp set, which literally has all the smiles. It has all these different sizes, all these different styles, and you see I'm just kind of layering them over my star to see which size and which style I would like. I picked out my favorite one, and now I'm going to stamp that in some black licorice ink right onto the star, and I think that is such a cute way to add just a fun little smile to this cheesy card. So I'm going to layer some foam squares behind that to give it a nice pop, and then we're going to layer that right into the scene, and I just love this bright green with the yellow tree. I think it looks so beautiful. Now we can start layering in our cute little mice. I've added some foam squares behind them, and I've got my one kind of pointing to the tree there, almost like she's going to decorate it. We've got the guy holding the little cheese tree, and then I'm going to be layering my presents there, but I realized I wanted to add some little speech bubbles. So now I'm taking out all the speech bubbles, which has all the speech bubbles. It has a bunch of different speech bubbles in different sizes, and these speech bubbles were sized so that they work with the tiny phrases that we include in a lot of our stamp sets, just like Cheesy Christmas. So to help these pop, I'm just taking a light blue marker and I'm just adding that blue marker to the inside edge of those speech bubbles. It just makes them feel a little more special. And now we're going to stamp my favorite tiny phrases into these speech bubbles. So we're going to stamp out, "'Tis the season to be cheesy," my favorite, "May your holidays brie merry." And then for that smaller one, we're going to stamp out, "Fa la 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 la," which is so super cute. And that's what the star of the Christmas tree is going to be saying. But before we start layering those guys on, we need to add these presents under the tree. So I'm adding some foam squares there and then just kind of seeing how it's going to look nicest under the tree, layering the cheese puffs from the add-on, the other little present, and then now we're going to add this cute little present right there to just kind of help fill in the whole scene. And then for the speech bubbles, we're going to add some foam squares onto these too and layer them in as well. And so I love that the little mice are talking to each other with these cute little speech bubbles. You could also stamp the phrases right above them instead of using the speech bubble. That would be cute too. And then the fa la 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 is coming out of the star of the Christmas tree, which I thought was just adorable. I'm going to add some foam squares to the inside part of the folded banner and then some tape runner to the outside, and then we can layer that into the sky. Then to kind of finish our scene here, I really wanted to add in some music notes to go along with this, like that they're singing me Swiss you a Merry Christmas. So we're gonna add these little music notes there. I love these die cut music notes all around the phrase, and I think this is looking so sweet. Now, this card is so super cute, and I would send it just like this, but I really love making interactive swivel surprise cards, and so I wanted to make one for this. So here I have a side fold card, and we're going to layer this whole piece onto the side fold card, and then on the inside, we're going to be creating our swivel surprise. So this is so super cute. Oh my gosh, I just love it. But I'm really excited to put a little surprise on the inside, and I'm going to be showing you a cool way to simplify the swivel surprise. So the first thing we need to do is decorate the inside. And I liked that there were so many pops of red on the front of the card with the Santa hats and the bows. And so we're going to be cutting some of this candy cane lane paper. It's got this beautiful gold foil stripe, which is so special, and that gorgeous red. And we're going to die cut it with that same largest outside in stitch rectangle. And we're going to layer these into the inside of the card. So I love that we're going to go from green then to the surprise of red on the inside. So I'm just going to layer these on both sides. Of course, you could just do one side, but I really wanted the whole thing to have this beautiful red on it. Then the next thing that we need to do is start working on the swivel surprise mechanism. So I've gone ahead and die cut that out of some 80-pound white cardstock, and you'll see that the die creates some fold lines for us, and we're going to fold along those lines. We're going to be folding back along all of those, and then using our bone folder to reinforce those and create nice sharp creases. Now, if you've never made a swivel surprise card before, make sure to check out our intro video. We will link it in the description below. So I folded along the 2 diagonal lines and then the 3 horizontal lines. And now all we need to do is take our index fingers, point them to that center, push in, and you'll see that the whole thing is going to collapse in on itself and form the shape of the swivel surprise mechanism. So let's try that again. We're going to push our fingers in right to the center there. As we push in, the whole thing folds and creates the swivel surprise mechanism. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to work on the back. And you'll see there's this little rectangle here right underneath that score line. We're going to be adding some 1/4-inch double-sided tape to that piece. And so we're going to add some pieces onto that. Once we have those, we can go ahead and peel up the liner paper to expose the adhesive. Then we'll take that whole mechanism and we're going to flip it over and we're going to be adding it to the inside of our card. So we'll flip it right over. And now you'll see we've got this edge right here. That's going to butt up right into the fold of the card. So you're just going to eyeball it and center it and just push that right into the edge of the card just like that. Once that's in perfect placement, then you can go ahead and press down and that's going to secure the mechanism in place. Then once that's secured, my favorite way to make sure that I'm in the right placement is to pull on that tab, and you'll see that the 2 things are going to pop up, which is so cool. Now with the swivel surprise, there's typically something moving in the background there, up in that upper right-hand corner of the card. You can see that cute little circle with the bunnies on it, which is so adorable. You can also do cool things like this. We did this in the intro to swivel surprise video where the cute little mouse is popping up, which is so much fun. Well, the other thing you can do is just not have that piece actually at all, and that's what we're going to do in this card. So I love that there's so many different ways to use the swivel surprise. So if you don't want something moving in that kind of top right-hand corner, all you need to do is just trim off this piece here. This is the piece that we call the butter knife piece. We're going to trim it off right there. So I made a little pen mark so you can see exactly where we're going to trim it off. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut that piece right off. And the swivel surprise is going to work just like it does. You just won't have the little piece moving in the background up into that upper right-hand corner. So I love that there's so many cool ways to do this, and I'm excited to try this without that piece moving. So now we're going to die cut our ring piece here, and you'll see here that I've die cut that from some craft cardstock. And then we're also going to die cut this main circle here, and we're going to die cut that of that same green paper that we had on the front of the card so that there's something from the front on the inside. Then for this ring, I wanted to decorate it with music notes. And so the stamp set has a bunch of music notes, and I'm just going to lay them out and kind of create my own music note pattern paper. So I'm just going to lay them out so that they're just kind of in like a nice little grouping here. Once I have them in a nice placement, I'm going to pick it up with my block. And then at this point, I realized that the craft was way too dark. So I decided to take the ring piece again, and I'm going to die cut some of this falling leaves pattern paper. I love this piece. It's just such a beautiful neutral, and we're going to do the stamping onto that. And so I'm I'm stamping in some black licorice ink and creating a pattern by just kind of twisting my block and stamping all over this piece. By having the music notes come off of the side of the ring, it really makes it look like its own custom pattern paper, and I find this so much fun to create. It's like so relaxing to create these. I just love it, and I'm just excited to kind of create a whole different take on the Swivel Surprise. Now that my ring is covered in music notes, it looks so cool. We can go ahead and start working on adding this into our Swivel Surprise. And so where we're going to be adding it is right onto this little hook piece here. So we're going to add our adhesive onto that hook just like that. And then we can take the ring and we're going to thread it through just like that. And then we're going to line it up with the hook. So it's going to thread through right through the center of the ring. And then we're just going to line it up. And you'll see that that hook is sized exactly to the ring. So all you have to do is just cover it up and press down. And now you'll see that this ring is moving in such a cool way. Now there's that tiny little X that the die embossed into the paper. Now we're going to add this little connector piece on there, which you'll see also has a tiny little X. So those X's are going to line up. That little connector piece has a fold line. We're going to fold up onto that line just like that. And then we'll take our bone folder to secure that. And you'll see that it's going to look like a little seat. So it just looks like this little chair there. And those X's are going to line up just like that. And so all we need to do now is just take some liquid glue, and I'm just going to add a little dab of liquid glue right on top of that X, just like that, as X marks the spot. And now we can just line the two X's up on top of each other. So we're going to add this little connector piece right on top. And then I like to hold that in place and just let the glue dry to make sure that it's nice and secure before we start working on the next step. Now the next step is to add some more 1/4-inch double-sided tape. We're going to add it to the back of that piece. So we're going to fold that piece up, like fold the seat up, and then add some of that tape to the back of it. You want some nice strong tape on this. Then we can go ahead and peel up the liner paper, and then we're going to take that bigger stitch circle there, and we're going to layer that right over top. And what I like to do is just take that circle, make sure it's nice and centered onto that ring, and then you can just press down to secure that in place. Then once that's secure, all you need to do is push and pull that tab to see that both of your pieces are moving, which looks so awesome. Now we're going to push this whole thing in, and now we're going to add some tape to the other side of that score line. So we're going to be adding that 1/4-inch double-sided tape. Then we can go ahead and peel up that liner paper, and then we can fold the card shut, and that's going to secure that in the exact perfect placement. And now that Swivel Surprise mechanism is looking so cool already. Now I wanted to cover up the white part of the mechanism that's showing, so I'm just going to trim down some of that same candy cane lane paper to be 1.5 inches by 1 inches. You can just add some tape runner to the back of that and just layer that right over top of that piece, and that's going to decorate it. We could have done it in the green or in that neutral color or into the stripe, whatever is going to be best for your design, but I liked it kind of matching the stripes in the card. Now, next, I wanted to stamp another sentiment. So here I have a wavy banner that I die cut from some white cardstock, and we have here "and a very nice new year." Now you'll see that the curve is a little bit too curvy for that banner. That's okay. I'm just going to pull it a little bit, press down, and now it's going to be the perfect curve for this banner. So I love that you can kind of manipulate your clear stamps like that by just pulling it. It's just going to change the curve just a little bit. We're going to stamp that and then layer that right onto the circle. So we have "We Swiss you a Merry Christmas and a very nice new year." Then we're going to take another one of those cute little mice that we stamped and colored at the beginning of the video, and I'm just going to layer him right there, which is just looking so cute. Then my last little step is to take another one of these speech bubbles from All the Speech Bubbles, and I'm just going to add that little bit of pop of color around the inside edge with the nice light blue, and then I'm going to take one more little die cut music note and just add it right into the speech bubble. That way it goes along with this whole singing theme that's going on with this, which I think is just adorable. And so we're just going to add that right there. And I like that the inside is nice and simple, but what makes it really exciting is the fun movement of the card. And so, oh my gosh, I mean, this is so much fun. So here's the card. "We Swiss you a Merry Christmas and a very nice new year," which is just adorable. I love the fun pattern paper that we created on the ring in the background and how we changed the Swivel Surprise so that there's only 2 rotating things instead of 3, which is really cool and a fun way to change up the Swivel Surprise card. I also love all of the cute and punny phrases on the front of the card and how adorable those little mice are celebrating around their Christmas tree made of cheese. Now that we've done a cheese Christmas tree card, I wanted to show you how cute it is to have these little mice hanging out around a more traditional Christmas tree. And so here I've got some candy cane lane paper, and I'm just trimming this paper down to be a standard size, which is 5.5 by 4.25, and we're going to add that onto a standard size card base. And this is going to kind of be the base of our card here. Then I'm creating an indoor scene and I wanted to create some nice wallpaper. So we're going to be using some fruit salad paper again. I love being able to use my springy, summery paper into my Christmas cards as well. And so we're going to die cut that with the largest of the small stitch rectangles so that it has that beautiful stitched edge. And this is going to be our really pretty wallpaper for our cute mouse scene. And so now we can just add some tape runner to the back of this and then layer that onto this paper. Now to create a ground, I'm going to take some of that candy cane lane paper in that red stripe, and I'm going to die cut that with the same stitch rectangle that we die cut that gingham paper with. That way they all have that beautiful stitching on there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and trim this down to be about 1.25 inches tall to be the ground on the bottom of the card. And I like that it has that little foil stripe too. It just makes it feel special, like they have a very fancy little holiday carpet in their living room. Now, to create that traditional Christmas tree, we're going to bring the Build a Christmas Tree die. I love this brand new die. It is so much fun because it has all these little pieces so that you can decorate and create your own die cut Christmas tree. So here we're going to be die cutting some textured cardstock in this really beautiful green. And you'll see that there's a base of the tree and then all of the little pieces that you can layer. And so I like to start from the bottom and work my way up to layer all of these cute little stitched and scalloped pieces of our Christmas tree. So I'm just adding some tape runner behind each piece and then just layering that right over the base. And I just love seeing this little Christmas tree form. It's just adorable. It's super cute like this, and it's super cute decorated too. So I love that there's so many fun ways to use it. I also like to take my fingers and kind of curl up the edges of those little scallops. I feel like it gives some nice dimension to the tree and makes it feel really special. Next, we have the trunk of the Christmas tree, and so I'm going to be die cutting that out of some chocolate bar cardstock. And I love that it has the stitching detail as well because it makes everything go together so nicely. And so we're just going to add some adhesive to the top of that and just layer that onto the bottom of the tree. And then this Christmas tree die has these adorable little garlands, and I love cutting them out of holographic cardstock because it makes them so sparkly and perfect for the holidays. So I've got that beautiful holographic cardstock, and now we're going to die cut a bunch of these pieces, and you'll see that I have my little helper Miles here who's helping me decorate the Christmas tree. So now that we have all of these little garland pieces cut, we can start adding adhesive behind them and then layering them onto the Christmas tree. And you don't have to worry if some of them are a bit long because we're just going to trim off any of the extra. So when I add these to the Christmas tree, I like to add them just kind of like that and then also at angles too so that it really looks like someone took the garland or the tinsel and just kind of strung it all around the Christmas tree. So here I'm playing around with some different angles on each of the different layers of this Christmas tree. And then there's that little tiny one that's perfect for the top of the tree. And then we can just take our scissors and trim off any of the excess, and you'll see just how cute this is going to look. And that holographic makes it feel so special. I just love it so much. Next, we're going to add a star to the top of the tree. So there's the base of the star, and then there's a little detailed star. And so we're going to die cut the base out of some sticky note cardstock. And then for the detail of the star, we're going to use some gold metallic. So it's going to be so beautiful, and it's going to look like the gold metallic pinstripes at the bottom. So I love that it's going to tie everything all together. And so we can just layer that little gold star on top of the base, and then we can add some adhesive behind that and then layer that onto the Christmas tree. And this Christmas tree it's just the cutest thing. I love it so much. They are so much fun to make. It really feels like you're decorating your Christmas tree. And there you can see Miles is showing how cute it is on our card. But of course, we're going to bring in our adorable cheesy Christmas mice. And these guys, I mean, look at them. They're so much fun. They're going to be decorating the tree, dancing around the tree. It's just so super cute. And I just love that you can do the cheese theme or you can have a more traditional Christmas theme with these adorable mice. So right now, I'm just kind of laying things onto my card. I'm not adhering them down yet because I wanted to do some stamping directly in the background. And so here I'm going to stamp Twist for my cute little dancing mouse. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stamp some cute little music notes all in my scene. I want to pop up all of these things, and I didn't want the pop pieces to be in the way of my stamping so that I wouldn't make a mistake. So I'm just kind of stamping all around this Christmas tree. And then now, once our stamping is done, we can take everything off and start layering it onto the tree. And of course, I'm going to add some foam squares behind everything to give it a nice pop. And so now we can finish our scene. So we're going to add the Christmas tree to the center, which, by the way, this would be such a cute card just like this. But of course, when we add these adorable little mice, it's just so sweet. So I wanted it to look like this guy was finishing up decorating the tinsel on the tree. And this guy here is dancing the night away, just rocking around the Christmas tree. And then this little guy here is just so excited. He's saying, "Yay!" in the background. For him, I added just some tape runners so that it would look like he was kind of in the background and the other mice are in the foreground. Then I'm going to layer some of these cute little presents under the tree. I really love this little bag. I think it's just so sweet. And then, of course, we have to have our little radio that's playing all of our favorite Christmas songs around the Christmas tree, which is just adorable. Now that we've layered everything in here, we need to work on the sentiment. And so we have these fun build the sentiments. And so I'm going to build Have a Mice Christmas to go along, of course, with our cute little mice. So then I can just kind of line those up. They have the rectangular bases that are the exact same size. We'll line them up, pick it up with the block. We can stamp it in some black licorice ink. And then I'm going to add a little exclamation point to the end of the phrase too, because these guys are so excited. And here you'll see I have a sentiment banner. It wasn't the exact right size, but that's okay. We're going to line it up on the left-hand side, hold it in place with some low tack tape, run it through the die cut machine, and now we'll have the banner on the left hand side. All we need to do is just shift the die over and line it up so that it matches the other side. You'll see it's really easy just because it's going to fit right into the die, and then we can hold that in place with some more tape and run it through the die cut machine again, and now we're going to have a custom size banner perfect for our custom sentiment. Then all we need to do is just add some tape runner to the back of that and then layer that onto the card. And now this card is all done. It is so super cute. And I am so in love with the idea of the little mice dancing around the Christmas tree. It just makes me smile. The other thing that I love about this card is that it's pretty easy to recreate. So I could definitely create like 5 or 10 of these to give as Christmas cards. And so I've already made another one as I had my supplies out so that I have some cards ready to go since the holidays are coming. And now, next up, Shari is going to be creating the cutest cheesy Christmas card. So take it away, Shari.
I am creating a cheesy Christmas scene today. I've already colored and cut out all my images, and I'm just going to set those aside. For the papers on my card today, I'm actually using some 12 by 12 papers. So this is the peppermints 12 by 12 with that fun red stripe with the gold foiling. And I will also be using the snow flurries 12 by 12. So this will be the background for my little scene. The stripes will be on my card base to create a border, and then I'll be using this rounded rectangle to cut out the snow flurries for a little panel. I also want to create a little ground for my scene, so I'm using the pine tree paper, and all of these papers could be used out of the petite paper pack, but sometimes I like the larger scale of the 12 by 12 papers. So I just marked how far up I need to cut this. I needed it about an inch. I like to cut it a little taller than I need, and then I can just trim it down. And then to give it some shading and definition and to kind of dull down that pattern a little bit, I'm using some Lucky Clover Distress ink and I'm just inking up along that bottom edge. So this is just going to give me a darker paper to ground my little scene. So I will go ahead and add this to the bottom. You can see that I did cut that out with that rounded rectangle, so everything's going to match up nicely and I get that stitching detail all the way around. For my stripe paper, I'll just add this to my card base, and this will give me that beautiful red and gold stripe border around my panel. Now before I glue this down, I am going to go ahead and do some stamping and put together my little scene. First, I want to stamp my sentiment, so I'm going to put my tree right here in the center so I have placement. And I'm using the sentiment that says "rockin' around the Christmas cheese," which I think is really funny. So I'm just going to stamp this directly onto that background pattern paper. I'll just keep my tree here so I have my placement, and I'm just stamping these in some black licorice ink. So there is the Christmas cheese, which is the second part of my sentiment, and then rockin' around. I like that these sentiments are kind of curved, like we're singing a song. I am going to go ahead and build my scene onto this panel because I'm going to put this panel onto my background with some foam tape, and I just wanted to go ahead and get my scene all built. So of course everything centers around that Christmas cheese tree, and I'm using 2 different thicknesses of foam squares for my little scene. So for these mice in the background and the tree, I'm using the thin foam squares, so they are half the thickness of normal. And then for for like this little mouse here, it's going to overlap. So I'm using a thin square on the back of his head where it touches the tree, and then a thicker foam square on the bottom. So he is popped up a little bit more than the tree or the mouse with the antlers. I'm using some regular thickness foam squares for the radio, so it is popped up a little bit more. And this is going to give me some different layers of dimension on my scene. I'll do the same thing for the mice on the left side of the scene. So I'm starting with this little guy with the cheese. He's with those thin foam squares, so half the thickness. And then same for this little guy, just like the one on the right side, he's going to overlap my cheese tree a little bit. Now for the presents under the tree, I'm going to pop those up a little bit more than the tree, so they're kind of in the foreground. And I'm going to do the same for this present over here. Now, this is from the add-on set. I love that it's a box of cheese puffs giving out for Christmas. And then this little round present, I decided it was a wheel of cheese. So I just colored it in the same cheesy colors as my tree. And I am going to stamp out the little music notes so it looks like they're singing around the Christmas tree. And this is why I wanted to go ahead, build my scene before I put it onto my card base with foam tape. I wanted this to be nice and flat so I could stamp my music notes. Now there's 3 different music notes in the original set, and then there's of course that little single music note in the add-on, which is a nice little addition so you get lots of variety in your music notes. Now I'm pulling out my red twine and I'm going to wrap this around my card base 3 times. And then I'm going to tie a bow to the far left so that it is right on the edge of my panel when I add my panel to my card base. So I'm just kind of adjusting those, making sure they're nice and tight. Once you get that bow tied, you can kind of adjust them a little bit more if you need to and kind of slide them around because nothing is glued down. But this is going to stay in place because I have that bow tied nice and tight. And then for my panel, you can see I'm putting the foam tape and I'm avoiding the center because that is kind of like a little channel that I've made on the back of the panel where my twine is going to kind of go through that little channel. So I can just add this to my card base, kind of pulling that bow to the side. You can see now how it's right up against my panel. And once I get that panel stuck down to my card base, I'm going to adjust my bow so that it comes and kind of goes over the side of my little scene. And of course, we need to add some glitter because this is a fun Christmas card, and what is a Christmas card without some glitter? So I will be glittering a little bit on everything, on the presents, and some embellishments on my mice. I did both of the Santa hats. I did the snowflake and the red border on this little guy with the sweater. My stickles keeps clogging lately, so that's why I just keep a little straight pin to kind of unclog it. And then of course on the tree we want to glitter the star, and I also put some glitter in those little holes in the cheese. And then here is my finished cheesy Christmas card. They are having so much fun rocking around the Christmas cheese.
Oh my goodness, Shari, this card is so cute. It just makes me smile. I just love this little mice so much. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And this card by Audrey is so much fun. I love the snowflakes that she added and the fun wavy banner at the top. It's just adorable. This card by Yanea is so sweet. I love the mouse standing on top of the present. I can't wait to try that too. Elise used the peekaboo backdrop to have these fun little scenes for all of her images, and I just love those bright colors. And then this card by Tammy is so much fun. I love the bow and the holly up top, and the oval is a perfect way to set one of these scenes. I love how Maureen added little pieces of cheese as ornaments on to the Christmas tree. It is just so adorable, and I love the Simply Celebrate Winter Critters at the bottom. This is the card by Elena that inspired me to make mine today. I just think it is so sweet, and I love the little white dots she added into the background. This card by Megan is so much fun, and the little Simply Celebrate mice at the top just set the whole thing. It's so sweet. This card by Letitia is awesome. I love how she used the brick stencil. It's a perfect background for this adorable stamp set. And then I just love Jen's rainbowy card. It is so adorable, and I love all of the pink and turquoise accents she added into her adorable scene. So we cannot wait to see all of your cheesy Christmas cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!